Hello, everyone. This is Posse Slayer at the 4040 podcast, the quality podcast. I'm here joined by Pincognito, aka Pinco.
Hey, Posse, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, man. You know that this is something that I tell to everybody that I invite on this podcast, but I'm such a huge fan of you, and
I
this is.
appreciate that.
I only invite people that I like, so I'm never gonna invite Mook or the likes of those people. uh,
I won't say a word. Don't worry about
okay. Pincognito, in case you guys didn't know, is one of the first people to welcome me in the DS3 community. It was around the time he was making the Phalanx Bellator build. If you don't know the Phalanx Bellator, shame on you guys. He's hidden the videos now, but you can find them on playlists on his channel. So I guess we can start with that. Uh, Tell us something about yourself, Pinko.
it. I'm Pincognito, aka Pinko. So I guess like, these days I'm mostly a Twitch streamer, I guess, in terms of like what I do in the Souls community. Yeah, I guess, but I guess initially in terms of people having any idea who I was, it started with to some degree with the YouTube videos, although even it was probably even before that was just like as being a member of like Saint Riot's kind of larger community.
Yeah.
Is how I really started meeting people in the Souls community at all. I had been playing the game DS3 since launch, but I really didn't know a soul until I kind of found Saint and then met other people in like his YouTube comment section initially. But then when he started streaming, I started to meet a lot more people.
Saint is like the godfather of Souls Invaders for DS3, isn't he?
I mean, there's no doubt he is like kind of like the locus of like where a lot of people met each other. I mean, prior to him and prior to his stream, I guess in particular, I don't know. Like I mean, it's just probably just kind of colored by my experience. But I just by myself. I would just I liked invading a lot, but I would just sit down by myself and stream or not stream, but play DS3 and invade in the evening. But it was always just a very solitary experience. And it was only through like his channel that I really met any other invaders at all, because it's not something that any of my real life friends are into at all. So it was only through him that I met other people, and that seems to be kind of the case for a lot of folks. Is that
Yeah.
his community is how they met other people.
Yeah, yeah.
So no doubt about it, he played a big part in kind of people finding each other and helping kind of build a community of people.
Exactly. You said invading in DS3, and something most people wouldn't know except if they hear you while you're playing, which I don't always do, to be honest. No, I'm kidding. You say you're constantly saying that you started PvP at DS3, that the previous games didn't inspire you so much to invest time at PvPing. How's that?
I don't know for sure. So I started playing with Demon Souls. Like I was like a day one US release purchaser.
Old school.
Yeah, I've been around for a little while though. Mostly just as like a regular PvEer. Like I mean, I picked up Demon Souls because I used to be in a Dungeons and Dragons nerd as a kid. And so like the aesthetics of Demon Souls I thought like were really kind of interesting, and so I picked it up. I think I happened to come across an ad for it like the day before it came out in the US.
Hmm.
I went over to like a Best Buy or something and picked it up, and it kicked my ass.
You're
Like I
telling.
really struggled.
Uh,
Like I go ahead, go ahead.
I just started playing Demon Souls. I've never played it before. I started with DS1, and God, this game is so hard. Like, there's nothing that can top that game. It's so hard.
I mean, I think I spent like a month, honest to God, trying to get through like the first level. It was really kind of a shocking experience. And I'm sure I put it away for like long stretches because I got frustrated. Kind of like in some ways, typical first Souls experience, right?
Yeah.
But I never, but I, you know, I eventually did come back to it and beat it and liked it a lot. But I never really got into the PvP. I'm not really sure I understood the PvP experience that was even possible in that game.
Yeah.
Like I was not aware at all of like I think Aura was around back then. I didn't have any sense of like that community But what was that? What was he streaming on back then? Like Justin TV or something like that.
Really?
Those that maybe
Oh
it
my
was. I mean,
god.
yeah. So I think but I was completely ignorant of that kind of side of things. I
Hmm.
remember getting invaded in the game, and I remember that being kind of like a shocking experience. Like I don't think I had really understood that that was possible in the game, and the idea that another person
Did
would
you
come into your
realize?
world.
Did you realize that it
Well,
was another person immediately?
I did when yeah, I guess at that point I had learned that it was even theoretically possible because I did start co-oping. I would help people out at bosses,
Yeah.
like which at the time was Blue Phantoms were the co-op Phantoms back then,
Yeah, yeah.
and so I would help people out with like Flame Lurker or the Man Eaters or something. But I right, I did realize it was a person, and it really kind of blew my mind. That was even like something that was possible to happen. And of course, like he like, I think I basically had like the prototypical like first invasion reaction, which is I just started running away as fast as I could, and he like of course like caught up to me and backstabbed me and insta killed me. but uh, but it was still like but that experience didn't like make me hate it. I think it just I thought it was like just so incredible that this was even possible, right? It was like a really kind of radical thing
Mind
from a
blowing.
from a game design perspective that was even something you could do. And so it didn't turn me on to invading in
Hmm.
terms of me doing it, but it certainly like opened my mind up to the idea of it, and I thought it was interesting or compelling.
Yeah, makes
Uh,
sense.
right. So, but then in Dark Souls 1, which I probably played way more than Demon Souls, I think I found that to be like a more engrossing like PvE experience on the whole. I did get a little bit more into PvP there, but really kind of on a very casual level. I
Like
certainly wasn't doing.
forest.
Yeah, I was a forest hunter. Exactly.
Same thing. Say exactly same
Yeah.
thing. Like
Yeah.
my first PvP experience wasn't even a player. It was the Knight of Thorns, Kirk, in the
Yeah.
depths,
Exactly.
and I thought that was a player. I didn't know that it was an NPC, and
Right.
I did gestures after beating him. I was so happy. I did well. What is it?
That's
Because it
awesome.
was the gesture everyone was using. But I didn't realize it was an NPC until he invaded me again, before Isolith, I guess.
Yeah,
And
he invades there. Yep.
yeah, and it was then that I realized, oh, that was an NPC, and I probably shouldn't share that memory because now it makes me look like an idiot. But I don't mind.
But that's pretty like true. I think to most people's like first kind of experience with PvP in these games.
What about DS2?
Uh, DS2, I did a little. So I guess maybe there's like a bit of a progression because so DS2, I did some of the Rat Bro Covenant and I did some of the Bell Bro Covenant. I don't think I ever invaded as a red in DS2 until after DS3 had been out. I don't think I even tried. Um, but I did like those kind of area covenants in DS2. Those were fun, and I think my kind of recollection of as to why I got into it more in DS3 is I think while waiting for DS3 to come out, I think that the release date was known. I just to kind of fill that gap and kind of my desire to play the new game. I went back and platinumed the Souls games I hadn't before, which I think meant doing a couple of Bloodborne endings and finishing trophy collecting in DS2, which required me to do some more Belbro stuff.
Oh,
And
so
so I don't know. That was good.
you're that kind of person, trophy hunter, huh?
Uh, I guess only for the Souls games. I haven't really bothered to platinum anything else. I don't think. But I don't know. So I guess I don't know if something just clicked at that point with the Belbro stuff that made me a little more interested. But
Hmm.
for whatever reason, like going into DS3, I really went in with a mentality is like I really want to like experience the PvP like in a lot more depth this time. I don't know exactly what it was. Maybe I was seeing some. I don't know. Maybe I just happened across some Souls PvP videos at the time or something. I really don't remember. But that's definitely the mentality I came into the game with. So like this, the moment I found like the Watchdog Covenant,
Yeah.
I put it on and I stayed as a Watchdog until I had maxed out the Covenant items, which seemed like a lot at the time. Like I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, 30 victories.
Yeah.
This is like a career. but, I thought that was at the time that seemed like a big deal. But I mean, but
It
you
is
know,
a
it
big
stopped
deal,
my
isn't it? It
right.
is.
For like a casual PVE, which I to some degree still was. It certainly felt like it.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's kind of like how my playthrough went. I would just kind of organically invade as I went through the game. And so I really, really kind of fell in love with invading in DS3 as a result of that.
And it was easier to get invaders in DS3 due to how you could get the red eye orb, because in DS1 you had to look up to a guide, in DS2 you had to do arena and stuff, but in DS3 you could earn it. Well, it was easy to
It's
get the orb.
it's a lot more organic. You do have to talk to Leonhard a couple times, but
Yeah,
it's not as obscure, right?
yeah,
And it's not as latent to the game. I mean, they give you red eye orbs like almost or cracked red eye orbs almost immediately,
yeah,
right, to
yeah,
try it out.
exactly.
So it's definitely kind of extended to you as an option for a way to play the game very early in DS3.
Yeah, I have to get this out of the way because it's gonna bug me all the way through the podcast.
Sure.
D&D, what version?
Uh,
Be careful, be careful.
Shit. I see. I'm going to embarrass myself because I'm going to say the wrong one. I want to say second edition
AD&D
is AD&D. I'm googling it because I can't screw this up.
or third?
And that is second. It was second. I'm
All
pretty
right,
sure.
second. AD&D then.
Yeah, to hit armor class 0.
Yeah, yeah, I
That's
was
like
exactly saying
my
that.
generation.
Thak Zero or Thaco.
Yeah, exactly. That's my generation of D&D.
Yeah, same. AD&D, me too. Okay,
Yep.
we're betraying our age right now, so I'm gonna move on.
That's as much as I'll divulge about my actual age. Yeah.
What about okay? There's a lot of people in the DS3 community that started with DS3, and a lot of our viewers just started with DS3 and haven't played the previous game. Some of them came
Yeah.
on to DS2, some of them, like me, came on to DS1. But you are like the real old school type of player, and I wanna hear your point of view. Like, surely you have you surely have more experience in me in these games. Like, you've played it from the start, Demon Souls, Dark Souls, etc.
Hmm.
And I envy you in that part. I stuck up with Dark Souls 1 until DS3. I played DS2 only once because I hated that game. Don't crucify me. Don't
I won't. It's
crucify
fine.
me. So you must have a very unique point of view, because you're one of those people that you're actually the OG of Dark Souls, of the Souls series. So as lucky as I am to have you sharing your opinions, I would like to hear them on the evolution of Souls games.
I don't know. It's kind of a weird, not a weird question, but it's kind of a hard question to answer. Like, just because like the way I have viewed the games has changed a lot. Like, just because like Demon Souls, I went into it just like it was any other game. Like, well, like not, I didn't buy it like for the fact that it also had PvP.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Uh,
regardless of the PvP,
yeah, just I mean, in terms of like
the evolution of Souls games.
just in terms of like the quality or like
Yeah,
the
the
experience of
quality, like
playing.
how the game changed, and how you view the series, because you're here from day one.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I've never been disappointed. I guess I still have a lot of love for each of the Souls games. I
Even
obviously have
DS2.
ones that yeah, I even love this too. Yeah. Like I have my preferences, right? For
You
sure.
know who
But
loves DS2? Should we
I
expose him?
know
Send Riot.
I know yeah, he does. He does.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people that like DS2 though. DS2 is like one of those weirdly divisive games where it's either like your favorite or you hate it. It feels like
yeah.
but but I don't know. Like it's I guess part of like my perspective on them is impacted a lot by just my involvement in PvP as time has gone on.
Mhm.
They are much different game experiences if you are also doing the PvP. There's a lot more to offer if you take advantage of the PvP that's available in those games, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're only a PvEer, I guess putting aside like challenge runs and stuff like that, it's a more there are like different experiences you can have because they are role playing games to some extent. You can
Mhm.
do different character types and you can do lots of playthroughs that way.
Yeah.
But there's more available, and in some ways, it's a completely different gameplay experience if you open yourself up to the PvP side of things. Like that's what I really love about Invasions. It's basically playing a whole different game
Yeah.
uh, from the experience perspective.
Indeed.
Yeah, but I guess that I think that's like my largest kind of perspective on these games over time is just kind of my own way that I think about them and approach them. And they definitely have been different. Um, I guess taking them like in terms of like games separate from the PvP. Like I said, I've enjoyed my playthroughs of all of them.
Yeah,
I'm including Bloodborne in this one, but I am kind of looking forward to like a new world, right? I think
yeah.
the Souls world has been as explored as it can be. So I'm definitely looking forward to the game which shall not be named with a release date which is unknown. But I'm definitely looking forward to that and
I'm
kind of
having dreams about it. I had a
video.
dream the other day that Elden Ring was released, and I woke up and I was so disappointed with
That's a
everything.
it's a nightmare. That's not a dream.
Yeah. Uh, what inspired you making videos? Because you weren't
um,
always a YouTuber, Souls YouTuber. No, no, none of us were.
no. So it started off kind of for a very narrow purpose. Like I said, when I was initially invading in Dark Souls 3, I didn't really know anybody
Hmm.
that played the game. I like quite literally. And so eventually, after like invading, I guess for a few months, I guess in the fall after release, the fall of 2016,
Uh-huh.
I decided to kind of wanted to try to meet other people,
Hmm.
which is really hard to do when you're invading because you're only running into like hosts who are not likely to kind of befriend you
Yeah.
afterward necessarily. Um, so I started to like get into the dueling side of things a little bit. So I put down my sign in Pontiff, like the people I rage about today, and I joined the Game Facts ladder, which I'm not even sure is still around, but it was like a dueling ladder on the Game Facts website, and there were like a lot of good players there. Some of them were like duelists, holdovers from DS2. I think like Black Umbara was still there. Solus was there. I was nowhere near their skill level, but it was a way for me to kind of meet some other people
Yeah.
and get a little better at PvP. Like I don't love dueling in DS3, but it was like a good way to get better at like the fundamentals
Yeah.
of spacing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this is actually responsive to your question because they asked people to put up videos of their fights, so that other people on the ladder could watch them. So that's why
Oh.
my YouTube channel exists at all, actually,
Oh.
initially.
Okay.
Um, and it wasn't until much later. So so dueling was good in terms of me getting better. It also kind of burned me out on the game. Like I didn't I just didn't find the dueling experience all that interesting eventually. And so it kind of burned me out kind of after
It's a bit
Ashes of
sterile,
Randa.
isn't it?
For me it is. Some people obviously like it a lot, but for me it got pretty sterile.
Yeah, same.
So like I think around after Ashes of Ariandel, I kind of took a break for a few months,
Hmm.
and when I came back, I found Saint's channel, and I also kind of I can't remember if I found Shwa Kari's channel then or if I'd known about her before. But I started watching more of like the invasion content creators. So those two, Nif, Judas, those are the ones I was really
Yeah.
like interested in. That tended to have kind of, I guess, positive views of invasions and kind of like a more positive, or I guess in Nif's from. I'm not sure I'd say Nif is a positive person, but he's a problem solver, a content creator, if not positive.
Yeah. Nif is in
But
my frame of mind. We are the same. We're the same thing. Me and Nif.
yeah, I can see that. Yeah, so I think so. I kind of sought out those kinds of videos when I came back to the game,
Yeah.
and then I think it was probably from watching those people's videos that I kind of thought more about making my own content. But I don't think I did anything at all though until I'd been part of Saints community for a little while, and particularly like once he started doing streaming
Yeah.
and I started fighting these other people and fighting Saint himself. Like I used to stream snipe Saint like constantly. Like before he even streamed, I tried to snipe his YouTube Dreadfinger runs.
Nice.
So, but fighting like players that at least I thought were good, and sometimes winning like made me think like, well, maybe I'm actually capable of putting out a video that's worth watching. That kind, I don't think I ever even considered it until I'd had that kind of experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's when I started making like more kind of invasion content for my channel. I think all my old dueling videos are now unlisted because they're really awful to watch.
I wouldn't mind watching them because
Do you like sword and board dueling? Because if you do, like, I've got hours of content for you.
I I binge watched a lot of your videos because before inviting you. Not that
Uh huh.
I hadn't watched them before, but because I'm doing my research on you, and
Sure.
I gotta say you've evolved a lot. But
Yes, for
you've
sure.
also evolved a lot in terms of not only invading. I mean, you've evolved a lot in terms of invading everywhere across also levels except max level. So here we
Yeah.
are, fall 2016. Pinko is dueling and he starts invading, right? Where did you start invading? Like what soul level? Because nobody starts invading at meta.
No.
You
So
can't get
yeah. So like I
instantly there.
was no, and I didn't seek out meta for a while. Like I was saying earlier, like I started invading as soon as I found like the Watchdog Covenant. So
Hmm.
like my earliest invasions were I don't know what it was, but I mean obviously like the soul and level brackets were much broader when the game was out, just because there were so many players, right? You
Hmm.
didn't have to be 20 plus 2 to guarantee invasions and undead sentiment or whatever. There was a lot more flexibility
Yeah.
just because there's just so much more randomness when there's more players.
Hmm.
But so I started out at low soul levels, but I didn't know what a twink meant in Dark Souls back then. I don't think,
Yeah.
or I certainly didn't have any like in game gear drop for me, or I hadn't done like a new game plus cycle to have good gear for my invaders. So I started off at like a low level, and I moved up to I think the place that I really kind of stopped my first playthrough and just invaded like for like months was Irithyll Dungeon. I think
Nice.
my character at the time was like around 60s to 70s and plus 8.
Hmm.
Because back then, plus 8 matched with plus 5 to plus 10. So it was a huge like invasion bracket.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I ever even finished that character's playthrough of the game. I just ended up in the dungeon and like never left. So that's really that's where I did a lot of my invading early on was I guess that's mid level,
Yeah.
mid to late game level is where I really started and probably cut my teeth invading.
All right. And then, as a lot of us did, you moved over to SL90 after the Ringed City.
Yeah,
And the last update of the game. That Miyazaki promised us that there would be more updates, and he never kept his promise.
right, right.
And then he moved. It's safe to assume that he moved on to SL90, like a lot of people of the SL90 community. Uh, what's so different about SL90? Because most of our viewers are not familiar with the community.
So that was again, we've said his name a lot,
Yeah,
understandably, but that was again like an outgrowth of Saint's channel,
yeah,
his Twitch channel. Like this guy, I think Amish mentioned him when you interviewed him, but this guy, the Raf,
yeah,
a young fellow but enterprising, and he started a Discord channel for basically it's kind of for Saints community, although it ended up being more than that, I think, and has certainly evolved since then.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um,
Agreed.
but it was basically a place for people in that Twitch community to meet like more easily outside
Mm-hmm.
of Twitch is not the best place to hold a conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
So that Discord ended up a place kind of like-minded invaders to get together and talk about stuff. And like the SL90 bracket was a way to just have like a separate invasion bracket that wouldn't I like there. I think my memory of this is a little fuzzier than what I've been told, but I think that it grew out of the idea of having a lower soul level bracket where there are more limitations on the build you can make. And I think
Yeah,
the initial idea was to have SL81.
yeah.
But I think I have been informed. I don't have clear recollections of this, but basically the concern was that people would try to cheat that, go to 90.
Yeah, exactly.
But, but 90 was a good place to stop because if they cheated beyond that, they would end up invading meta people themselves. So the 90 was a good stopping place where you still have some limitations on your builds, like more meaningful limitations, and but you can still get good invasion activity, and it's actually turned out to be like a great soul level bracket for dried finger runs and stuff like that too.
What a lot of meta invaders like me have forgotten is the beauty and the charm of lower level invasions. And I'm not talking about invading PvEs and just decimating them. I'm talking about
Right.
SL90. The archives, Ashes of Arendelle. Favorite areas of SL90 invaders, right?
Yeah.
And invading in those huge areas, these labyrinthian areas that are like mazes, and the beauty is like you're fighting probably more than two people because the archives are very active at SL90.
Oh,
Your
for sure.
invasions are guaranteed to be dragged out. They're not gonna end like in seconds like they are in meta, because in meta the invasion can last from seconds to an hour depending if the host wants to fab glitch you. But
Right.
in SL90 you get people that are more experienced than at lower levels, but at the same time you get more phantoms that are experienced too. So for me and people that we've moved to meta and we have forgotten about the charm of those levels, is that SL90 is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's kind of died on PS4. I think like SL81, I think works a little better these days, but
Yeah.
I think 90 still works on PC. I guess broadly speaking. But
Oh,
yeah, I mean, for
we
a long
don't.
time,
I'm
like,
sorry, we don't talk about PC here. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
but I like for a long time, SL90 was like a really good level for invading archives, and like you said, there were tons of organized ganks there,
Yeah.
or like very organized PvEers, however you want to look at them.
Hmm.
Whether they're playing, I mean, some of them were PvE groups playing through the level, but like had their shit together.
Yeah.
Others were like just like level gankers.
Yeah.
So I mean, so it was like yeah, and I love archives, so it was like a really fun place to invade. I think that's really kind of faded. I think the last year or so.
Yeah.
Although it's still
Unfortunately.
there's still some stuff activity like that. Like it seems to have come back a little bit during this period of self isolation. Anyway,
Yeah.
um,
I'm
but
a I'm a
it
level
was good.
ganker at Cathedral.
Oh, nice.
At 40 plus 4. I'm a
See,
phantom.
like
I'm a phantom.
this is part of why I like having invaders at all soul levels. Is that for a couple reasons. I guess the first is that like it gets you access to all the different levels in the game, right?
Yeah.
After the Ring City came out, like the ability to invade anywhere, like at meta, or like not even necessarily meta, but like to invade almost anywhere and catch people like in new game plus cycles, which
Yeah.
I guess could be like 90, 80 to 90 and above, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Depending on how quickly people finish the game. Like that really dried up after the Ring City for reasons that people have talked about. Like once you could get the +3 rings in the Ring City, that those playthroughs really didn't happen very often. But so in order to be able to invade like in the cathedral or catacombs, you need an invader built to target players going through that area of the game at those soul levels. So that ends so that's the first reason is I really like invading in the catacombs and the cathedral. Like I really like the way those levels are laid out.
Yeah.
Central Irithyll Dungeon. Those are just super, super fun levels to play in.
Agree.
And the other thing is like it's a different experience invading. I mean, this is I guess obvious, but it's a fundamentally different experience to invade at SL30 or SL60 or 90 or 125, right? And now there's pros and cons to all those. But I kind of like having those different experiences available to me depending on my mood.
Yeah.
Sometimes like there's no doubt that you run into more noobs like at SL30 or 36 or whatever, but straight swords still blend. You still have to be on your toes at times against groups.
And
I
and
don't, yeah,
yeah, you also don't run. Actually, these days, you also run into more experienced players that are purposely staying on lower levels. And I'm not
yes,
talking about me because I'm usually playing as a phantom at the cathedral to help players. I play as a faith build, because
yeah,
I like being a supportive role. But you see a lot of people that are hosting at the cathedral that are twinked out,
oh
and
yeah,
they're usually using frostbite weapons because frostbite is OP, and
yes. It's
and
super dangerous at those levels. Yeah,
yeah, and they use glitches like the fab glitch, like a lot. I'm not gonna go into glitches right now because this isn't the topic at this time. But you see a lot of griefers. I have encountered a lot of griefers, like
yeah.
and recently. And what people at Meta don't know is that lower level invasions against griefers are way harder than any meta invasion at all.
It can be very difficult just because you don't do any damage, right? So I mean, it's very hard to kill people quickly at low levels. And so
Yeah,
right, so if someone is like really kitted out to fight against invaders, it can be hard.
yeah,
It can be hard to finish people off.
yeah.
Yeah, so I just like having that variety of experience available to me, and I think it's just more fun to have those options.
Yeah, and you also like making characters with lore while
I
denying
do.
being a lore geek.
It's true.
You always deny being a lore geek. You say, "Oh no, I'm not a lore geek. Centriot is a lore geek. He knows the lore about the game and
True.
stuff."
It's absolutely true. So like so Saint got interviewed like on a podcast about like Dark Souls lore.
Yeah,
And like if you did that with me, I wouldn't be able to talk for like 5 minutes. I just don't know it off the cuff like that. Like I like the Dark Souls lore. I like reading about it. I mean if I'm doing a playthrough of games, I always read everything I pick up and I think about it. But I don't really store it. Like it's not something I can access quickly. And so like I really am not like that in tune with like all the nuances of the Dark Souls lore, and I can't really like talk about it
but you make up
extemporaneously.
your own lore. You make up
I
characters
do.
with your own lore.
I do. So like right, so that taps into like that kind of that role play aspect, right? So I really, really like having characters that feel like a character, right? It's not like this is my strength build or this is my dexterity build. I like them to be a character, to have kind of an identity.
Yeah,
And ideally I want them to kind of feel like they belong
yeah, in
in
the
the
world.
world.
Yeah,
Like the so like the best thing for me, like the ideal situation for me, like this is only gonna happen like at lower to mid levels. This would never happen at meta, but like the ideal situation is where I invade a host and they're not sure. Like let's say it's a person on their first playthrough. Like my ideal situation is that they're not sure whether I'm an NPC or not. Right. I want it to be like kind of that immersive, ideally.
yeah,
Like
because
I've had
everybody has character names.
yeah, like well, I wish they did. They do on PC, but not on PS4. But um, so because like I've had people react that way. Like I had an invader on PC called Karthus Warden, which I
Okay.
made a few videos for.
Yeah.
It's made to look like kind of a Karthus warrior, and I think he used Black Serpent, and he had the Karthus curved great sword. But I had people like after like that I lost to, but they would stop and they would wait to like to pick up my souls or whatever items I dropped, and that's like for me that's like the ideal like invader
That's a
experience. To
victory
have
for
someone
you.
like yeah, to have someone like that kind of immersed in my invasion, that's like the best.
Because
So
they're gonna
that's
remember you. They're gonna remember that playthrough.
yeah, yeah. So that's the ideal. Now that's not a possibility at at Gang City. No one has any illusions about about what's going on there, but as like in our as a when I create invaders like for lower levels, that's really yeah, that's the ideal. I'm not sure I stick to that as much as I used to, but that's really like the ideal for me.
Nodes of the Path.
Yep.
One of my favorite. He's SL40, I think.
He was popular. He used to be SL55 plus six, but
Yeah,
that kind of died. So that version of him now lives at Meta. But I did make a replacement for him at SL46 plus six.
yeah. You use the Way of White Corona. We're one. We're two. The only two people that use the Way of the White Corona nowadays.
It's legitimately a fun thing to use. It's
Yeah,
not good. It's got some interesting qualities, but
yeah, exactly. You see, people like us, we appreciate the small things, you know.
right. It's got a sweet spot. It has hit stun. It's I don't know, man.
Yeah,
It's got some favorable qualities.
exactly. You think like a D&D player. That's
Yeah, I do. I
yeah,
do. I think that's
exactly.
true.
Same thing. Like, okay, I'm going out of topic just for a little while. So, in Dungeons and Dragons, there's an item called immovable rod. Like, there's a small piece of wood that has a button, and if you press it, it cannot be moved in any means. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I was a dungeon master. We were in a campaign, and a boulder was going down in a cave, and the players were running away. And I had this player. He was thinking outside of the box, and he took out the immovable rod that he had found like 2 sessions earlier, and he just put it there and stopped the boulder. Like, thinking outside the box, and
Right.
that's what you're doing with your builds. Like, what's the scythe invader called?
Oh, the Corvian Wanderer.
Yeah,
Or
exactly, the Corvian Wanderer.
yeah,
Yeah, the like scythe is a weapon that you don't see. You don't usually see. You see
you
free the
don't see it
scythe.
too often.
Yeah, you don't see
Yeah.
it too often. You see free the scythe because of the weapon art of the of the push to win button. But
Yeah.
what I appreciate about you is that you actually use this weapon, and not only that, you actually press L2 with that weapon a lot. Like I've seen you. I watched your streams after because I cannot catch them live. I watch them after you upload
Right.
them on YouTube, and I do see that you use the weapons and the characters that you make. You go and use the full potential, and
No,
that's
I appreciate that. I try. I try.
yeah, I've noticed that because I'm a geek when it comes to weapon arts, and I've noticed that, and I really really appreciate that. I really admire that about you because not a lot of people do that, you know.
Well,
Uh,
thank.
so okay, you started uploading videos. Sometime down the way, you said, okay, let's turn to streaming. How did that happen?
I feel like I think my recollection is I got badgered into it. I think at that point I had been hanging out like in Saint streams for a while, and I guess the SL90 Discord had been around for a while.
Yeah,
And my YouTube channel is still tiny, but I had enough
yeah.
viewers there to have at least like kind of be known at least in like that slice of the invader community, right?
Well, you do have a following.
I do, yeah, and I mean then it was much smaller. I
Yeah,
think, I mean, like when Saint started streaming, he had like 400 YouTube subscribers. I mean, he
yeah.
was small back then.
I think it was around
But
Ring City, right?
yeah, it wasn't too long after he started in the spring of 2017,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think. But then he like not too long after he started streaming, he had a couple YouTube videos just blow the hell up on Reddit, and
yeah. Hmm.
he's been on a rocket ever since then. But so I started to meet more people through the Discord, particularly like PC players I wouldn't have known otherwise because I was still only on PS4 back then.
Yeah.
Um, and I think like Narcolept, who's pretty well known,
Yeah,
at least in the PC community, he's the one he created Slugbot, which is
yeah.
the bot that like a
And
ton of invasion streamers use.
shout out to Narcolept.
Yes,
Slackbot is a tool that every Souls tuber uses. Like everyone and their
Slugbot's
mothers
the
use
best.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a cantankerous bastard, that Slugbot, but he's very useful. Um, yeah, so I think Narcolept in particular was kind of pushing me to try it out, and so I just did like a test stream like some Thursday evening, and I don't know, like 15 people were there, but it was all people I knew, so it was like very like relaxing, and it was fun. I took to it. It was relatively easy for me to kind of stay engaged
Yeah.
with chat while invading, and so I just took a shine to it, and started streaming like 2 or 3 times a week. And that's kind of progressed over time. But it was kind of, I guess, peer pressure that got me into it.
What I loved because back in the day when you started streaming, I was able to catch up with your streams because my work schedules were more elastic, so to speak,
All right, nice.
and I used to be there. There's one person that I loved in your streams, and as soon as I say that name, you're gonna laugh. Vapid. I
Yeah, yeah.
love Vapid Raptor. Like the dude is. Oh my god, I love that guy. He's
He's been great. Yeah, he's been around for a long time in my streams. I
yeah.
think he's one of my mods. Yeah, yeah. He's good. He's a good dude.
And we have ganked you a couple of times on your dried finger runs.
Oh, no doubt about that. Yeah.
Uh, and you do a lot of dried finger runs, and you do themed dried finger runs. Like one of my favorite dried finger runs is the Brotherhood of Stone.
Yeah, those are a lot of fun. So yeah, that grew out of. It's actually got like a kind of long circuitous history. Like so, like that the idea that I guess the first character that started all that was made by Christ. He's got like
Grim.
five different names. Yeah, Lord Grimm,
Yeah.
Heinrich. He goes by a few handles, but we'll call him Lord Grimm for here.
Lord Grim. Yeah.
And he showed up in one of Schwa's videos with his Edvard the Crag character.
Yeah.
He was like
And
fat rolling.
you made Val the Unbroken, something like that.
Yeah, Val the Unbent. Yeah.
The Unbent.
So
Yeah.
right.
God damn it.
So
So
I
close.
met I met Grim. I must have been through the SL90 Discord. I don't know how we would have met. I guess through that or Saint Stream. I'm not sure how else we would have met. But right, he got kind of known because he showed up in this video of Schwaz with this kind of insane, fat rolling dragon tooth using character.
Yeah. What a
Um,
lad. What a lad. Yeah.
and so and there were other people involved. This guy named Nobody was involved early on. Acetone, or just Tony,
Yeah.
he got involved. Some guys that haven't played in a long time, and I'm blanking. I'm blanking on some of their names. Shit, this is gonna actually. Let me check this. This isn't gonna bother me if I don't remember.
Yeah.
Uh, Trunk was involved for a long
Yeah.
time. Mac and the Trunk. He had a really scary character that he used for a time. Dang It JM has been involved from time to time. Derpy.
Yeah, Derpy. I love
Uh,
Derpy.
yeah, there's some other people too, though. I don't want to forget people. Nariander was involved for a while.
Oh, Neri. I haven't heard from Neri in a long time.
Me either. Silly Dog actually was involved, well before I think he was doing YouTube videos. He was involved for a while.
Oh, that's Crab.
Yeah, this guy King Wheeze and Terra. There's a bunch of people that got involved, but I think probably like Lord Grimm, and I think nobody I think was around like for some of the brainstorming stuff too. But probably Lord Grimm probably bears most of the credit for thinking of the idea of like this kind of his character Edvard the Crag was like meant to be kind of seeking out kind of like the Havel Warriors, or like the way of the Havel Warrior, or something of that nature. So he wanted to create this group of I guess basically level gankers, but a themed level gank of like Havel Warriors and fellow travelers.
Everybody appreciates a team level gank.
Yeah, it can be fun, right? Legitimately, it can be fun. So like what? So one night, I think Saint was streaming. Actually, I'm quite certain this is what happened. He was streaming one night, and Grim and I were basically level ganked in the Ring City, I think, at SL90.
Yeah.
So just the two of us, no blues or anything like that. But we played through the level.
I was there.
Yeah, were you? Okay.
I was in the stream, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So then, so we level ganked, and we had Redfinger on, but no blues. So just the two of us playing through the level with,
Wait,
Reds coming in.
I think, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the Havel, the Dragon Tooth was a dark Dragon Tooth, wasn't it?
I don't remember what he used in that video.
And
Because
he
ended
said
up.
that it's appropriate because Havel had the cult weapons, like something like that. I don't
Oh,
remember.
maybe. He ended up using the heavy mace and the twin axes later. I think he changed his loadout by the time by the time of that stream. But yeah, so we had this like really fun run through the Ring City.
Yeah.
Like it was a long run through the Ring City,
Yeah,
and Saint got in
yeah.
a couple times, and like it just ended up being like this perfect like series of fights to make into a video, which I ended up doing. It was like a lot of fun to make. It's a really kind of like almost embarrassingly like earnest like video. Like it takes itself kind of seriously, but in a way that I like. Has like its own little like lore, and it's like this epic. So that turned into like these kind of, once I started streaming, we started trying to turn that into like dried finger runs, where I was the host or Grim was the host, and we played through the level with all these other people. So we were trying to aggressively play through the level, starting at high wall, so like a new game plus.
Yeah.
We did put in kind of rules to keep it from being, because most of the builds had kind of like good poise, because they're all meant to be like Havel Warriors or their fellow travelers, and so we tried to put in some rules so it would be like, we didn't want it to be like unfun to fight against.
Yeah.
So like, no more than two Brotherhood people against a single invader, so you're not just like blundering them to death. We could only resummon if we killed an invader, and like rules like that. Like always play through the level aggressively. Things to like make it like fast paced and fun for everybody that got in.
Exactly, because that's what's fun.
Right.
I mean, playing through the level, if you just sit there at the bonfire and wait for fandoms to respawn,
right. Boring as hell. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not only that dried figure. You've done a lot of dried figures. Am I right?
Yeah. So since then, the Brotherhood is fun, but it's hard to organize just because it requires like a lot of participants, and people live, like we've been alluding to a couple times here, different time zones really make that hard.
Tell me about
it. So I've probably done a lot more runs where I'm the only like central person, and I'll summon purples, 2 or 3 purples, so that there's friendly fire. So again, we can't just blunder people. Again, we try to keep it to no more than a 2v1. Those are the only like rules. I will shit talk people that use Hornet Ring, but it is allowed.
Same.
but it's a fun way to like. I've built characters that way.
I don't use Hornet Ring. I have it on me, but I never use it. To be honest, even at meta, I don't use it.
I see. Interesting. Go ahead.
Not because I sound on it, but because I'm like I love my fashion, right? and
Hmm.
I don't want because my faction doesn't have a lot of poise. I put on the wolf ring.
Okay.
In order to compensate for that, and I sacrifice the hornet ring because at meta you have to have a hornet ring, right? And
Yes.
I actually play without hornet ring, and it is more fun to play without hornet ring because it encourages you to do more damage through combos, through rustic play, and you know,
No, that's interesting. So I definitely use it at meta.
yeah.
Uh,
If
like I
you
had,
can, you
it
should.
almost never leaves. It almost never leaves its ring slot at
Yeah,
meta.
yeah.
But like for these, like for the Dreadfinger runs, like
Yeah, you don't want to
there's
kick people instantly. Like invade, you get a backstab and kill them, and then go on their way.
right, and it's partly like a logistical consideration. That's the right way to put it.
Yeah,
Like I'm not like a huge streamer, but I'm big enough that like it can take a while to get into the Dreadfinger runs, and I
yeah,
really don't want it to be a situation where someone tries to get in for an hour and then gets like
yeah.
insta backstab to oblivion
You want
and has to
everybody
wait
to
an
have
hour to
fun.
get back in.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. That's I'm sorry. That's something everybody appreciates. Okay. Okay. I've gone easy on you so far, right?
Okay,
Okay.
go
It's time to
back
go
on the hard
on.
balls.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Okay. I want to talk about glitches.
Okay.
I want to talk about non-downscaled phantoms. I'm gonna talk about
Love them. They're the
Estus
best.
cancel,
Love it.
Estus refill,
Even
and
better.
weapon moveset change, and the latest glitch, the weapon art glitch. Do you know
Yeah, yeah.
that one?
I've seen it. I've seen it. Yep.
Uh,
My favorite. Yeah.
Dark Souls 3 is in many ways more broken than Dark Souls 1 ever was, and
Arguably, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Dark Souls 1 had the chain stabs, but it was easy to get out of them. It also had the toggle escape, but it was something that required skill, and it also had what else? The dead angling, which also required skill, right? Like these were
Yeah.
the three. Like I think those were the only glitches actually. But Dark Souls 3 has gone on to be a glitch fest, and a lot of
It has
people
evolved that way. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
a
Go
lot
ahead.
of people are annoyed by that, me included. But I'm not gonna bitch about it, and I'm gonna let you bitch about it. I'm gonna have the higher ground right now. Uh, I've talked about glitches. I'm against any glitch that doesn't
Hmm.
require skill. And there's sometimes like okay glitches that are uh, borderline acceptable. Like, okay, I'm against Census cancel, but if I'm getting ganked by three people, I'm gonna use it. If I'm playing 1v1 or with friends or in somebody's stream, I'm not gonna be a jackass and go Estes canceling, because that's
Yeah.
just simply annoying. I don't want to annoy people. But if I'm fighting ganks and I'm 3v1, I'm definitely gonna use it because everybody has their own rules, and I'm not gonna dictate. Neither me nor you are gonna dictate how people are gonna play, right? But
Right.
somebody invades you, or you invade somebody, and they're glitching in any way. How does that make you feel?
I guess so. Let me answer that a bit like more broadly, right? So
Yeah.
I guess let me add like the predictable caveat here, which is it's just my opinion.
Hmm.
There is no like objectively right answer
Yeah.
or viewpoint on these
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
right?
No, we're just
But
expressing our opinions here.
right, but I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Not a fan of any of them. I mean, I don't. I'm not a. If From came out and patched all the glitches, like even like Sun Princess glitch,
Yeah.
Ring of Favor, the bow glitch, and all of its progeny,
Yeah.
Estus refill, Estus cancel, the new weapon art swap glitches. If they got rid of all those tomorrow, I'd be happy. I'd be super happy. I think, I guess, fundamentally, I view them as cheating, right? And
Yeah.
I just prefer that none of them existed at all. Now, I mean, having said that, there are, I'm being probably already somewhat hypocritical. I mean, I've used
Yeah.
Sun Princess glitch. I don't think I've ever used any of the others. I don't think I've ever even used the Ring of Favor glitch.
Mhm.
But I don't. I'm not sure there's any way for me to think about it other than they're clearly not intended gameplay, right? They're not
Yeah.
intended to exist. They are consequences of the coding in the game
Yeah.
and the ways that can be exploited. So they're cheats. So I think fundamentally that's how they should be viewed. Now, I don't think that's like a moral issue if you use them.
Hmm.
at least not in any kind of consequential way. But I guess from like a functional standpoint, like none of them like address something that was broken, right? No one was thinking, man, I wish it was faster to drink Estus in Dark Souls 3. Like that has never there's
Yeah.
never been a discussion I've had with anybody prior to the Estus cancel being around. No one was ever like pining for a way to drink Estus faster. Like if anything,
Yeah.
people were lamenting it that it was hard to punish Estus, right?
Yeah.
I guess from my perspective, like this is like kind of how you can arguably at least draw a distinction with like toggle escapes in Dark Souls 1. Like you
Yeah.
can I think you make a fairly compelling argument that like without toggle escapes, Dark Souls 1 is borderline unplayable, right? Given the nature of the
Yeah. Of the
infinite stun
poise
locks that
system. Yeah.
exist. Yeah. But I don't really see how like any of these glitches like address an actual problem in DS3. They kind of just exacerbate problems that existed already. Like the ability to run away from an opponent for a long time was a problem before like the Ring of Favor glitch existed, right? I mean, this it only added to that problem and didn't fix a problem.
Yeah.
Um, so I think like I don't like that they exist in the game. I don't use them myself. I have used Sun Princess, but even that really for the most part I don't do anymore. Um, so I guess that's my fundamental answer. But like as to whether other people use them, I don't really care. Also, like I don't. I watch other streamers that use them. I
Hmm.
don't. It doesn't bother me like on a deep level that they are doing. I kind of sometimes I wish they wouldn't, just because I find it more interesting for people to deal with situations without using them.
Yeah.
Um, but so yeah, so it's so I guess in
End
terms
of
of
the
like
day, you can dictate how they're playing, right?
I cannot dictate how other people play. If people come in my stream and ask me about them, I'll be honest. And like we were talking about my dread finger runs before, like I make it pretty clear that I don't want to see Estes canceling or glitches in my dread finger runs.
Yeah.
And if people won't agree to that, then we deal we deal with that situation. But people in their own invasions in their own time, obviously they can do whatever the hell they want. It's none of my business, and I certainly have no authority over what they do. I mean, and I guess like I understand why people use them, right? It's like it's an effort to get a competitive advantage, right, against
I
a
guess.
gank or the invader, depending on who it is we're talking about. But like for me, like if using the glitch is what's necessary for me to get the win, I'd rather just take the loss, right?
Yeah.
Maybe
I
if it's a
respect
gank
that.
that just yeah, I mean if it's a gank that just outplayed me, then I need to play better next time, right?
Yeah.
Maybe using the SS refill would have gotten me the win. Who knows? But I'd rather just try to figure out what I could do better to perform better the next time. If the gank itself was cheating or using non-downscale glitch or Estus cancels or bow glitch, or whatever. I don't really care if I lose to people like that. Like I'll try my best to win. I won't just like Black Crystal, but I that loss will not mean much to me. Why should I care if I lose to someone like using a glitch that way or cheating? Right? It's just
Yeah.
on to the next invasion. Like it always has been.
Okay.
So
Yeah. I know. I can I share a true story?
yeah, sure.
When the Estus refill glitch came out, I got a lot of heat because I was against it from the beginning, and a lot of invaders didn't like that because
Yeah,
I was very opinionated about it. They didn't like me not liking that. They liked the glitch. They liked using the glitch because most invaders are invading people that are not too familiar with PvP, and they're not gonna look into glitches and stuff.
yeah,
And one day I was in Gang City. It was the early days of the Estus refill glitch, and I was in Gang City, and my co-invader was Estus glitching, and I started throwing dung pies at them. I didn't attack them. I started throwing dung pies, and after the invasion was over, I can't remember if we win or lost. After the invasion was over, he said like, "You're a traitor. I didn't know you were a traitor, pussy." And I was
yeah,
like, "Dude, you were Estus refilling, and you know what they said and made me feel like crap? They were doing it first.
yeah.
Nowadays, you can't know if the
No, you,
other
you definitely
party."
can't. Right.
You see, and so we find things that escalate situations. Like one party is Estus refilling, so the invader has to Estus refill. Someone
Yeah.
is summoning non-doubt scale phantom, so the invader has to use the weapon art glitch, like
Right.
stuff like that. And today at Meta, the game is different than it was like a year ago, like a few months ago actually. The game is
Yeah.
very
No, that's true.
different, and
Yeah.
I don't mind getting ganked. I appreciate getting ganked. I don't mind three people on me. I never did mind that. But what I do mind is going out of your way. Like, okay, you're three people and I'm one by myself. You're literally going out of your way to summon non-downscaled phantoms and have take every glitchy advantage on yourself, and that's what annoys me, to be honest.
Yeah, I no, absolutely. I mean, it's always been hard to invade at meta, right? I mean, not even at meta. It's always been hard to invade against an organized gank.
Yeah.
That's true, like at SL 50 or 70 or
Mhm.
90 or
Mhm.
125.
Mhm.
If it's an organized, like actually organized gank, it is hard, right?
Yeah.
Like if they know what they're doing, it should be hard. If they know what they're doing, you should lose, really. So, so right. So it's right. So it is like certainly frustrating as the invader to come across like a situation where they already have like a huge advantage, particularly like at Pontiff, where
Mhm.
there's like no PVE to speak of that's like worth a damn,
Mm.
right? You're basically fighting in a parking lot. There's nothing. There's nowhere to go. There's just no.
Yeah.
You're just there fighting. Maybe you can run around by the Silver Knights for a little while, but for the most part, you're just engaged in PvP until one side is dead.
Yeah.
Um, and so like right, and like a gank that knows what it's doing can really obliterate you, right?
Yeah.
And so the fact that they stack more advantages that are glitches on top of that is really frustrating. Now, like you were alluding to, like at this point, like who started the glitch war, I don't know. I don't really care. Like I think for me, like I'm just not willing to participate.
Mm.
Like if I can't win without that stuff, then so be it. And I think from my perspective, like obviously like Silly Dog, and I put out a video recently talked about like you're not going to do Pontiff anymore. Yeah, so I think I kind of get that perspective, like because it's an effort. I think it's an effort to just kind of remove oneself from this issue, right? Because you definitely see this a lot less for whatever reason at the Ring City. You might see Estus canceling, but you don't really see overleveled, non-downscaled phantoms really all that often, or even weapon art glitches. You
Mhm.
just don't see it as often there. So I think like I understand like that desire to just not participate in that dispute. I think for me, for the most part, I'm still okay with Pontiff as part of the mix. I've always preferred the Ring City, just because it's much more kind of feels more like an invasion than it
Yeah.
does just kind of like this big asymmetric PvP, which is what Pontiff feels like to me. There's not really like an invasion there. You're just
Yeah.
like in a team deathmatch
Yeah.
where one team
Exactly.
has a lot of
Exactly.
advantages.
It's a team deathmatch with a lot of traitors on your team. That's what Pontiff is.
Right, right, exactly.
Yeah. Uh, okay. I want to talk about meta. I
Okay.
know. I know you're doing a metal meta event.
Yeah, yeah,
Mondays. Am I right?
yeah. I started that a few weeks ago.
And I know you're invading and you're playing across a lot of soul levels, but meta is something that not a lot of people prefer to touch due to the nature of the game at that level. Because
Right.
there's a lot of organized gangs. There's not a lot of fun to be had when you wanna entertain people. You don't wanna spend time on loading screens and stuff. So.
Yeah.
Uh, Meta is dying. I think you know that. The glitches actually killed Meta. The old school invaders left Meta. Like there's not a lot of people right now invading there. And I'm not talking only about Pontiff. I'm talking about a lot of dueling stuff and etc. And
Yeah.
the meta in this game is dying. Like I'm a part of the meta community, and we're a very very small community right now.
Sure.
Uh, why do you think that is?
Um, I'm not sure it's anything more than what you've talked about. I mean, I would suspect it will stick around to some degree until Elden Ring, just because there's nothing else that offers the invasion or like PvP experience that Dark Souls 3 has. I mean, obviously you've got the other Souls games,
Yeah.
But Dark Souls 3 is the most recent one, and that's it's going to be the most popular just kind of by default
Yeah.
for that reason. But we're in year 5
Jesus
of playing the
Christ.
game.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's not surprising that things are gonna kind of be on life support at some point. Particularly like I think part of it like no one knows when Elden Ring is coming out, which kind of kind of leaves kind of a cloud on things to some degree.
I get
'Cause I,
depressed even talking about it.
so right, so I think like if there's no like end on the horizon, maybe that makes things seem a little more bleak. But I mean, I think part of it is the glitches. But part of it's probably just natural. Like I have like I still have like relatively few hours compared to like people that have been playing the game as long as I have.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I have probably like this is going to be depressing for me to talk about, but between like 2,000 and 2,500, which is a lot.
Yeah.
It's certainly the most I have in any game, but it's a lot less than some other invaders I know.
No,
And
it is a lot.
it is a lot. But I mean, there are people I know that have like 3 or 4, right? And so I'm not surprised that some of those people were burned the hell out. Like, there's only so long. Like, this game isn't that mechanically complex, right? So there's only so long you can get good at this game and still, I think, have fun. So I think that's part of it too. I think it will. I don't think it'll ever die completely, even unless just something like, unless a really, really, really easy game breaking glitch comes out. Like, some of these weapon art glitches aren't like incredibly hard, but they're not like something the average ganker is going to put in time to learn. So I think meta will stick around until Elden Ring. Now, like, how healthy that meta will be is, I guess, a different question.
You do play a
But
lot on PC, do you?
I these days I'm like 50-50 PS4 and PC. Yeah.
Yeah. Are there a lot of cheaters there at Meta?
Well, yes, for sure. Now I don't go to Post Pontiff at all
Yeah.
on or Gang City at all on PC. I did three times.
Nobody should go there. That wants their
No,
site.
I did 3 times, and every time I was a malicious CE user like attacked me. So I don't go there anymore. I mean, I was streaming every time, which is part of it, but I don't go there at all. I have it blocked off on Wax Dust. So I just avoid it completely.
Yeah.
Ring City's fine. I've run into a few cheaters there, but nothing. I don't have like session info open. I don't really track whether there are cheaters on my
Hmm.
world. I back up my save file. I stream on an alt, but I otherwise don't really care.
Yeah.
Um, it's one of those things like if they're like really cheating their stats, you can usually tell. But my perspective on like losing to people like that is kind of the same as losing to someone using a glitch. Is I just don't care. Like, if they if they're gonna cheat to beat me, fine. I Okay. Congratulations. I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
go on
Yeah.
to the next invasion now. Um, but I haven't encountered that many that I could identify as like obviously cheating on PC. You do run into weird desync every now and then, but nothing,
I want you to
nothing too
share.
often.
I want you to share a story, a Dark
All right.
Souls 3 story, or a Dark Souls whatever story.
Any story?
Any story, like not since when you're a kid, but a Dark Souls related story, something that stuck
Hmm.
with you even after the game will end, and we're all gonna move on to Elden Ring like in 5 years when the game comes out. I want you to share. I want you to share a story with us.
I'm not sure if I have like a story. I've had like lots of like fun encounters. Probably the more memorable ones are the ones I have early on that kind of helped me kind of get plugged into the
Hmm.
community or feel like a part of the community. Like, I ran into Schwa, who I mentioned before.
Yeah.
She was obviously like one of the early like invasion
Hmm.
content creators. They had like kind of like a lot of love for the invasions
Yeah.
in the game. And I ran into her. I talked about the fact I used to play a lot as a watchdog. I think I used to I used to have a pretty nasty low level watchdog with this is before the Carthage Rouge nerf. I had a Warden Twin Blade watchdog with the Old Wolf Curved Sword backpack, the
Oh
Pontiff
God.
ring, and Carthage Rouge.
Oh
Uh,
God. They'll
but I
want to
but I
win.
yeah. It was like an instant bleed out on some characters back then with the full combo. But at any rate, like so I used to hang out in the swamp back then, or the in Crucifixion Woods. And I ran into Schwa like randomly. She was playing through the game on a new character, and I
Nice.
think just kind of messing around as a blue. And so I got to fight her. I think I was a red actually, rather than a watchdog. But regardless, I got to have a fight against her. And I remember like my Warden Twin Blades broke during the fight, so I just switched to like my Self Sword or something like that. But
Jesus.
there was like, but I messaged her afterwards to just to confirm that it was in fact her, and had like an exchange with her that was like really nice. So that was like my first like kind of contact with kind of the larger invasion community. And I guess similarly, like I remember trying. I remember when Saint did like a dried finger run on YouTube. He would post like he was like a religious like YouTube poster. He was like
Yeah.
he had like a very set schedule, so it was actually kind of possible to kind of figure out when he would be in the next area uh, for his dried finger run. So I ended up, I think I missed him in the area. I think it was Undead Settlement. I missed invading him, but he stuck around to invade after he had beaten the boss of the area. And so we ended up co-invading in
Nice.
the Undead Settlement together. So I met him through that way. So that was cool. So this kind of like nice kind of entrees into the kind of the larger invader community. Those definitely will stick out. But kind of more broadly, like DS3 has been really great for me because it's like I said before, like I didn't really know anyone that invaded in DS3 early on. I wasn't really part of the PvP community prior to DS3, and so like the Discord that Raf created, Saints YouTube channel and Twitch channel, those have been the primary ways that I really got kind of connected to meeting more people. Like like Saint, like a lot of us were active on Reddit
Yeah.
for in the earlier years of DS3, and he used to put out some posts like kind of hyping up smaller content creators like me. I am Amish, Raven of Ash, who quit the game quite a
Yeah.
while ago at this point, but he used to be like a really cool
Yeah.
DS3 content
One of
creator
my
too.
favorites.
Yeah,
Uh,
he was great.
yeah.
He's a super friendly guy. Yeah, so it was just like part of my main memory probably of DS3 when all is said and done is kind of meeting all these people. Kind of at this point, I've been lucky enough to kind of build my own community through my channel. So it's been great. It's been a really fun gaming experience.
Favorite setup and weapon.
People ask me this all the time on
You
Twitch,
gotta
and
have one. You
I
use
don't I
everything.
don't
You use everything. You gotta have one.
I I don't know if my answer will be very interesting. Probably I'm trying to think of the weapons. This is gonna be like a super boring answer, but like probably like the weapon I've used the most is like Claymore, which is like
The
as
generic invaders weapon.
basic invader answer as I could possibly give. But honestly, like it's probably Executioner, Greatsword, or Claymore. Those are the two weapons I learned to invade with way back when by myself. Like
Yeah.
I use those almost entirely. Those are the two, even like before the poise patch when Greatswords kind of sucked. Those were the two weapons that I used all the time. Like Naj, who you mentioned before,
Hmm.
who was like probably one of the invaders that was like really popular when I was streaming for a long time. He used the Claymore for the most part, Lightning Claymore.
And the
Uh,
disgusting Saints Bident.
yeah, and but it wasn't as good when I don't think when I first started using it, but it certainly got good. Yeah, so I think like that's probably my favorite weapon. But I don't know. I've really kind of tried very hard to use as many weapons as possible. I try not to duplicate weapons too much across my characters.
Yeah, you do use a
Um,
lot of weapons. That's
I try.
yeah, 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 and it's something that not a lot of people do. Like you stick with a weapon class and you stay there, but
Yeah.
you do try to use a lot of weapons, and it's something that I really like because I try to do the same, regardless of my 1 million Valor Hard videos. I try to use other weapons too.
Yeah, like just the other week, like I guess Schwa asked me to use a Reaper for a stream, so I used the Corvin Great Scythe with offhand Bleed Claw. It
Yeah,
was fun as
I
hell.
I watched
It
that.
was super fun.
I
Yeah.
watched that. I watched. Where was it? In the you invaded someone in the Dragon King mausoleum before the dragon boss,
Yes.
and you tried to convince them to light the bonfire, something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I do remember that. You see, I watched your stuff. Uh,
He was a cute host. I couldn't kill him, so I
yeah.
left. But
What are the challenges of streaming as often as you do?
um,
Because it's not easy. It's not easy. I'm streaming from time to time, and I know it can be a very consuming procedure. It requires a lot of energy, and not a lot of people know that.
yeah, I think at this point I'm fairly comfortable. Like I have two monitors to use, which helps a ton. So and I stream my PS4 through. At this point, like we mentioned, I stream on PC too. So I
Hmm.
stream my PS4 through my PC. So I don't really have like I used to have like a pretty awkward setup with my TV and like a laptop next to me so
Yeah,
I could read chat. It's a lot easier for me now because I can just glance over to look at chat.
yeah,
And I've been playing DS3 long enough that it's generally, I mean, even at meta, outside like the really sweaty situations, I can still like I know when it's okay to look at the screen for the most part to see what chat's talking about. That's like really like that can be tiring. I think when you first start, I think for most people it actually turns out to be pretty easy to talk because it is just kind of having a conversation.
yeah,
It's I think it's a lot. I guess a lot of people like that are starting streaming seem really concerned about what they're going to talk about, but that part is actually usually quite easy.
yeah.
As long as chat's participating at all, there's usually plenty to talk about. But I think like dried finger runs are really tiring. Like there, I'm playing like good players, like really good players, like constantly. Those are absolutely exhausting.
Yeah,
Like those like 2.5 hours in, I'm usually ready to stop because I
yeah,
that is just mentally exhausting because I
exactly.
can relax a lot less
Hmm.
in those streams.
It is true.
Um, yeah, but I guess I've ramped up like my number of streams per week kind of over time. I was two or three only early on.
Hmm.
Even when I was kind of pushing for partner, it was three or four tops.
Hmm.
I guess I've kind of streamed more. I guess particularly during the self isolation.
Yeah,
But I have streamed more since I made partner, partly because now I can do variety games without worrying about what like my averages are and stuff like that.
yeah,
Um, but like I don't know, like for me, it's not too tiring. I usually find it a pretty relaxing way to end the day.
yeah. Okay.
It's nice to hang out with some people and shoot the shit and
Yeah,
try to win some invasions.
and
It's
having
been
fun
it's
with
been
friends.
yeah, it's been a fun hobby for me.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything you wish me to ask you? Any issue you want to address?
I don't think so. Well,
Take your time. Take your
maybe,
time.
maybe. Um, it's funny. I was watching like an old Project Goof video today where he was playing as a blue,
Hmm.
right? And I think this is like I don't know if this is something that's changed as the game has gotten older. Probably not. It's probably been there since day one. But like there is like a weird level. I think I find it to be the weirdest at meta, right? So what I'm getting at abstractly is kind of like this kind of like baseline toxicity that exists in the Souls community,
Oh, good.
like the point downs and the poop throwing and stuff like that. It's like I mean, on the one
Are you
hand,
dissing on me?
no, I know you do it, but I'm not judging you. But like
You have to do it at meta. You have trust me. You have to do
well, but see, I don't.
it.
but like, but I guess I don't get it, right? Like, and but it's also kind of like that mentality has kind of like percolated throughout like all the soul levels now. Like the invasion that you lose where you don't get pointed down is like noteworthy, right? It's like just that like ever present, and I don't really understand like why that's become the mentality. Like, I guess I find it particularly odd, like at meta, right,
Yeah.
where everyone is there to PvP. Like, no one's under any illusions as to like what's going on.
Yeah.
Presumably, everyone is there because they enjoy the game
Uh huh.
and they
Uh
want
huh.
they want to have a
Go
fun
on.
fight with
Go
somebody.
on.
And so, like, why is everyone so mad? I don't get it. I mean, I do get it, but I also don't really I don't understand like the mentality.
Yeah.
I guess it just seems like it's just become the culture.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, I'm at Meta. I better buy some more dunk pies.
Can I explain
I don't know.
myself? Just can I
Go for it.
give me a chance? Give me a chance. Okay.
Go for it.
So okay, I don't throw dunk pies to everybody, right? Not only to people I know, because I'm not gonna throw dunk pie. If you know if I invade you because you're my friend, I'm not gonna throw you dunk. Or if I throw you dunk pie, it's gonna be ironically, you know.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
bad manners are gonna be for fun. But sometimes you invade people that are being obnoxious. Like there's nothing more obnoxious at meta than invading a host who's reaction rolling everything, who's spamming L1 with their stupid little shield, and they're holding the stupid little straight sword, and they're just spamming L1, and they're they only fight you when they have at least one phantom by their side. So you know, and
I got. I
they're
mean, I
being
get. I get.
obnoxious, and the
Believe me, like anyone in my chat can tell you that the easiest way to trigger me is to L1 waggle at me.
yeah.
Like that sets me off.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. Being passive in L1, Jesus Christ. And at PS4 Gang City meta, it's very, very common. So, and
yeah,
we also have some. A lot of gankers are my friends, because
sure.
you make friends after a while. You cannot hate it. I never hated gankers. I only hate obnoxious people, right?
Yeah,
Or traitors, or people that are there just to be idiots. I don't know how to explain it, because at meta you find a lot of people. There's a lot of variety, as because people are expected. You are expected to see a lot of experienced people, right, in the game.
yeah.
They have their share of experience. So if they're being obnoxious while you're invading at meta, because it's difficult as it is already to beat a gank, even a two-man gank at meta. If
Right.
they're being obnoxious on top of it, they're gonna get the BM from me. Yeah, I'm not gonna feel bad about it. I'm
Gotta
sorry.
gotta break the cycle of hate, posse.
Yeah, yeah, but you know what? You know what? After the invasion is over, I'm not salty at all, because I am salty if up until the invasion is over, I do get salty,
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna get mad. I'm not gonna hate on anyone. I just get
I get it. I
salty.
get it. Part of it, I wonder, for me, is just aesthetics. Like I don't know. Maybe I just don't like the point down and the aesthetics of the poop. Maybe if everyone was doing a sarcastic applause, maybe I would
Oi,
care less.
oi!
I
Is
don't
it
know.
in the game? Is it in the game? Why are you
It's in the
dissing on it?
game,
It's in the game.
and legitimately, there's no other purpose for it. They must have
Yeah,
put it in there for BM.
yeah, exactly. It's obvious that they did it for.
You
It even
can
makes it toxic.
you can toxic crystal sage, and that's about it. But
But
uh,
it makes it toxic if you use dank pies yourself. Like if you throw
it's
dank pies,
true.
so
See,
they're
that's
telling
the
you, yeah.
posse. That's the real message. That's what's right. That's the real message from is sending you.
uh,
Uh,
I guess.
when you throw the pies, you're being toxic to yourself,
uh,
posse. But
I'm never gonna stop. I'm never gonna stop throwing dank pies. Like, okay, but only on people that annoy me.
honestly, probably. I mean, I understand. I mean, I'm being a little like coy here. I mean, I get why people do it at meta. It's just part of like the way the game is played there. It does make me a little sad, like
Yeah,
to see
me
it like
too.
so robotically used, like at low levels and mid levels. Some person that just bought the game.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I
yeah.
assume they've seen like a YouTube video where the YouTuber did it, and that's so therefore they do it. I don't know. It's like every new player has it auto equipped in their hotbar now. I don't know. It makes
Yeah,
me a little sad, but I've grown used to it. I mean, it doesn't like bother me in any kind of like
yeah,
actual level, but it is like I wish it was a little bit different in terms of the game's culture.
yeah. I'm not gonna second that. you know, um, I said it at the start of the stream, at the beginning of the stream. People at Meta have forgotten about the charm of the game at lower levels, and
Yeah,
it's part of that culture, because I've been playing at Meta for around 2 years now, with like continuously never left the meta for 2 years, right? So
Jesus.
at the beginning, I didn't understand the dunk by culture myself, and I was like, why would you be so toxic and stuff? But
Uh huh.
after a while, like the obnoxious people and like invaders that get there, like Gang City, like you said, it's a deathmatch, right? So anybody who invades there is even at at meta, you're expected to know what the hell is going on, right? So when I get like invaders that are throwing that are using the Milgood Great Bow with the
Yep.
obscuring ring, and I'm invading too, like I'm gonna kill that invader. I'm gonna be a dick on them because you want people to get in there and fight you, right? And fight. I mean, fight alongside you.
Yeah.
So uh, yeah, it's frustrating, and it's just a way to. At least for me, I'm not talking for anybody here, but at least for me, it's just a way to vent. You know?
I get that. I mean, believe me, like when I'm invading at meta, though, it's a rare gank that makes me salty. Like maybe if someone's like emote spamming just to like taunt, that will probably get under my skin after a few
Yeah.
minutes. But like the thing that makes me salty like real fast is the either the turncoats or like they're the completely worthless go invaders. Like I try to be really patient with like clearly new players that are invading,
Yeah.
but it does challenge the patience at times. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm glad we're on the same page with that.
When when you've got like your fifth like great shield one handed Uggs co invader in a row, it's like oh Jesus Christ, I'm not gonna get a single W tonight, am I?
Oh god, the so-called Bumbies. I hate
Yeah.
Bumbies. So, all right, I think we're done. Shoo, I don't want you anymore. I'm kidding. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast. It's been a long time that I wanted to talk to you publicly about stuff, and I really do appreciate your opinion, especially since you're a Souls veteran. You're a very active part of the PvP community and the Invader community, and I really do appreciate you being here. So thank you very much, Pinko.
Thank you very much, Posse. I had a great time. I hope it was at least somewhat interesting. But
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Take care.
All right. You too.